Assalamualaikum, and today we are going to continue where we left off. Quraysh machination against the immigrants. The Quraysh could not tolerate the prospect of a secure and safe place available for the Muslims in Abyssinia. So they dispatched two messengers to demand their expulsion. They were Amir bin al-As and Abdullah bin Abi Rabi'ah. Before embracing Islam, they had taken care them valuable gifts to the king and his clergy, and had been able to win some of the culture over to their side. The pagan messenger claimed that the Muslim refugees should be expelled from Abyssinia and handed over to them on the ground that they had abandoned the religion of their forefathers, and their leader was facing a religion different from theirs and from that of the king. The king summoned the Muslims to the court and asked them to explain the teaching of their religion. So they gathered together, they are determined to speak the truth before him. He said to them, "What is this religion that has caused you to separate from your people? Do not enter my religion or any of these others." Ja'far bin Abi Talib stood up and addressed the king in the following words. "O king, we were an ignorant people. We worshipped idols and ate the meat of the dead carcasses. We were accustomed to lewd behavior, to serving the ties of kinship, neglecting our neighbors, and the strong among us consumed the weak. This is how we were. But then Allah sent a messenger to us. We were aware of his lineage, his truthfulness, that he was trustworthy, and said, he began inviting us to Allah, that we single him out and that we worship him. So we left the religion of our forefather that we had been previously following. We left the worship of the stone and idols of all others beside Allah. He also commanded us to be truthful in our speech, fulfill our trust, nurture the ties of kinship, be kind to our neighbor, and to refrain from spilling blood unlawfully. He forbade us from lewd behavior, from bad speech, from consuming the orphan wealth, and from slandering chaste women. He commanded that we worship Allah alone without associating anything with Him. He commanded us to perform the prayer, give charity, and fast. So he listed the Islamic injunction. He continued, so we trusted him and believed in him and follow the religion of Allah that he delivered. We began to worship Allah alone. We would not associate anything with him, and we began prohibiting that what he made unlawful for us, as well as allowing what he has made lawful of us. For this our people rose as enemies against us, punishing us, torturing us, to get us to leave our religion and returning to worshipping idols instead of worshipping Allah. And they expected us to consider all of the filthy things lawful as we previously did. So when they overpowered us, oppressed us, and restricted us, when they came between us and our religion, then we came to your land with you over others beside you, desiring to be your neighbor and hoping that you, king, will not wrong us. The king said, "Is there any of this with you that he told you to be from Allah?" Ja'far said, "Yes." The king the king said, "Then recite some of it to me." He then recited the opening verse of Surah Maryam, chapter 19, Mary, wherein is told the story of the birth and of both John and Jesus Christ, down to the account of Mary having been fed with the food miraculously. The king, along with the bishop of his kingdom, was moved to tears that rolled down his cheek and even wet his beard. Here, the king exclaimed, "It seems that if this word and those were revealed to Jesus are the rays of the light which have radiated from the same source, questioning the depressed messenger of Quraysh, he said, I'm afraid I cannot give you back the refugees. They are free to live and worship in my kingdom as they please. On the next day, the two messengers again went to the king and said that Muhammad SAW and his followers blaspheme Jesus Christ. Again, the Muslims were summoned and asked what they thought of Jesus. Jafar again stood up and replied, we speak about Jesus as we have been taught of by our Prophet. That is, he is the servant of Allah, his messenger, his spirit and his word breathed into Virgin Mary. The king remarked that they believe the same. Then turning to the founding member of the delegation and to his bishop who got angry, he mentioned that they may fare and fume as they like, but Jesus was nothing more than what Jafar had said about him. He then assured the Muslim of full protection. He returned to the delegation of Quraysh the gift they had brought with them and sent them away. The Muslims lived in Abyssinia undisturbed for a number of years till they returned to Medina. This is the version narrated by Ibn Ishaq, and the other mentioned that Amir bin al-As went to the king after the Battle of Badr to bring these two views accord. Others say that the delegation went on two occasions. However, the question and answer session between the king and Jafar that they say occur on the second occasion is the same in general content as that narrated here by Bin Ishaq. From this question, it is obvious that the event took place when they first arrived in Abyssinia. The tyrant decision to kill the prophet. Now that all the scheme and conspiracy of the Quraysh had failed, they returned to their old practice of persecution and inflicting torture on the Muslims in a more serious and brutal manner than ever before. They also began to nurse the idea of killing the Prophet Muhammad SAW. In the case of the Muslims, those who remained in Mecca were very few. Of these, they were either notable, thereby saved from annoyances, or they were neighborhood of such people. Still, they had to hide their Islam and keep it out of the public eye as much as possible. Even in this circumstance, they were not safe from the harm from their neighbors. As for Allah's Messenger SAW, he would pray and worship Allah openly before the eye of tyrants, inviting publicly and quietly to Allah. There was nothing to prevent him from that, for this was the essence of the order to convey the message of Allah when he said, thereupon proclaim openly that which you are commanded and turn away from al-mushrikun. Among what is mentioned in the book of Sunnah and Shira about the event of this period is the incident of Utaybah bin Abi Lahab. He once approached the Prophet ﷺ and most rebelliously and shamelessly shouted at him, I disbelieve in by the star when it goes down, and in whom who approached and came closer. In other words, I do not believe in any of the Quran. He then started to deal arrogantly with Muhammad SAW and laid a violent hand on him, tore his shirt and spat on him. But he missed the face of the Prophet Muhammad SAW. Thereupon the Prophet Muhammad SAW invoked Allah's wrath on Utaybah and supplicated, "O Allah, set one of your doves on him." Allah responded positively to Muhammad's supplication, and it happened in the following manner. Once Utaybah with some of his companions from Quraysh set out for Syria and took accommodation in Azaka. There's a lion approached the group to the great fear of Utaybah, who at once recalled Muhammad's word in supplication and said, "Who to my brother, this lion will surely consume me just as Muhammad supplicated. He has really killed me in Syria while he is in Mecca." The lion jumped at Utaybah, snatched him from his people and crushed his head. It is also reported that an idolater from Quraysh named Uqbah bin Abi Mu'ayt once pressed the Prophet's neck with his feet until his eyes executed while he was protesting himself in prayer. More detailed report by Ibn Ishaq testify to the tyrant's deeply established intention of killing the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abu Jahl, the arch enemy of Islam, once addressed some of his accomplices or people of Christ. It seems that Muhammad is determined to go on finding fault with our religion, degrading our forefathers, discrediting our way of life, and abusing our God. I bear witness to our God that I will carry two heavy rock and drop it on Muhammad's head while he is in prostrating to rid you of him. Once and for all, I am not afraid of whatever his clan, Banu Abdul Manaf, might do. The terrible, unfortunate audience approved his plan and encouraged him to translate it into a decision deed, demonstrating their intent to kill the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Is what recorded by Ibn Ashaq from Abdullah bin Amr bin Al-As that some people of the Qur'an were at Al-Hijr of Ismail, complaining that they had been too patient with the Prophet ﷺ, who suddenly appeared and began his usual circumambulation. They started to wink at him and utter sarcastic remarks, but he remained silent for 2 times. Then on the 3rd time he stopped and addressed the infidel, saying, "All people of Quraysh, listen, I swear by Allah in whose hand is my soul, that you will one day be slaughtered to pieces." As soon as the Prophet ﷺ uttered his word of slaughter, they all stood shocked and switched off to a new style of language portraying fear and even horror, trying to soothe his anger and comfort him, saying, "You can leave Abu Qasim, for you have never been foolish." In the morning of the following day, they gathered talking again about him, so they confronted and surrounded him. I saw one of them strangling him with his upper garment. Abu Bakr came over while crying and said, "Do you want to kill a man just because he said my Lord is Allah?" Then they left him alone. Ibn Amr said that was the worst behavior I had ever seen from the Quraysh. Umar bin Az-Zubair narrated, I asked Abdullah bin Amr bin Al-As to tell me the worst thing that the pagans did to the Prophet ﷺ, and said, while the Prophet ﷺ was praying at Al-Hijr of Al-Kaabah, Uqbah bin Abi Mu'ad came and put his garment around the Prophet's neck and strangled him violently. Abu Bakr came and caught him by his shoulder and pushed away from the Prophet ﷺ and said, "Do you want to kill a man just because he said my Lord is Allah?" In the narration of Asma, he said someone came yelling to Abu Bakr, "Look at your companion." So he left us while wearing 4 beards. He left while saying to them, "Do you want to kill a man simply because he says Allah is my Lord?" So they beat Abu Bakr. He returned to us, and whatever we touched of his hair would fall out. The conversion of Hamzah bin Abdul Muttalib. In gloomy atmosphere infested with dark cloud and of injustice and oppression, there shone on the horizon of a promising light for the oppressed. The conversion of Hamzah bin Abdul Muttalib in Dhul Hijjah, the 6th year of prophethood. It is recorded that the Prophet ﷺ was one day seated on the hill of Safa when Abu Jahl happened to pass by and accused the religion preached by him, Muhammad ﷺ. Whoever kept silent and did not utter a single word, Abu Jahl went on unchecked, took a stone, and cracked the Prophet's head. It began to bleed. The aggressor then went to join the Quraysh in their assembly place. So it so happened that shortly after that, Hamzah was returning from a hunting expedition, passed the same way, his bow hanging by his shoulder. A slave girl belonging to Abdullah bin Jad, who had noted the offensive behavior of Abu Jahl, told him the whole story of the attack of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. On the hearing that, Hamzah was deeply offended and hurried to Al-Kaabah, and there, in the courtyard of the holy sanctuary, found Abu Jahl sitting with the company of Quraysh. Hamzah rushed upon him and struck his bow upon his head violently and said, "You have been abusing Muhammad. I too follow his religion and profess what he preaches." The men of Bani Makhzum came to his help, and men of Bani Hashim wanted to provide help, but Abu Jahl sent them away, saying, "Leave Abu Umayyah Umayyah alone. By Allah, I did shamelessly abuse his nephew. In fact, Hamza's conversion derived initially from the pride of a man who had not accepted the concept of the others humiliating his relative. Later on, however, Allah purified his nation and he managed to grasp the most trustworthy handhold, faith in Allah. He proved to be the source of great strength in the Islamic faith and its followers.